Well, that is what Atishi had to say. Meanwhile, there's also been a reaction coming in from Delhi Deputy Chief Minister, who's accused the BJP of hindering the Desh Ke Mentor program and saying that it is misusing the child rights panel.
इस प्रोग्राम की सफलता से घबराकर भारतीय जनता पार्टी ने साजिश करके इस प्रोग्राम को रुकवाने की चाल चली है। भारतीय जनता पार्टी ने सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट के तहत आने वाले एनसीपीसीआर, जो नेशनल चाइल्ड राइट प्रोटेक्शन कमीशन है, उसको यूज करते हुए आदेश दिलाया है कि सरकार इस प्रोग्राम को, दिल्ली सरकार इस प्रोग्राम को बंद कर दे। बीजेपी ने अपने ही भारतीय जनता पार्टी के ही एक छत्तीसगढ़ के कार्यकर्ता से एक शिकायत डलवाई एनसीपीसीआर में। छत्तीसगढ़ का भारतीय जनता पार्टी का एक कार्यकर्ता शिकायत करता है कि जो ये देश के मेंटर प्रोग्राम है, इससे बच्चों की सुरक्षा को खतरा है।
All right, let's bring in some more voices here in reaction to all of this. Deepa Kumar, educationalist, who's joining me, as well as Raman Malik from the BJP, who's here with us as well. Thank you, both of you, for speaking to us. Raman Malik, let me come to you first and talk about the politics of all of this. Like happens so often, this issue has also become completely political. How do you respond to all the charges that are being made by the Aam Aadmi Party with regard to the BJP misusing the child rights body and the child rights body being extremely harsh in terms of what it is asking for?
See, the basic issue is those who want to just do politics and have a scapegoat for going out of a system which may not be delivering their desired results would always say something. I would like to bring the attention of the nation towards the very first time that the Prime Minister came out with exam warriors. What was the kind of comments made by all of the opposition, including Arvind Kejriwal and Manish Sisodia? Now, one must understand, if there is a national body for child protection, what is the harm if they've suggested something and those things are complied with? It is a good program if you say, then what is wrong in making it better? And then what is the harm in going further, making it best? If you have this thing that you want to do the best, and there is a scrutinization, there's a proper record. See, because you have to understand, the child has to be protected, not just from physical, verbal, but also mental and emotional abuse. Now, if something where the scope of interaction is not under a particular domain, it is wide, as in the scheme, then I do not think there would be any problem for a right-minded person, for a person with the right intent, to have a verification of sort. What is the harm in it? The whole point is, the way you promised 500 schools, you did zilch. You promised 50 colleges, you did zilch. You suggested about 5 crore plus cameras, you did zilch. You talked about Mohalla clinic, which failed. We saw all of it failing in the corona times. Nothing to be seen. Places were good enough for having a shed for an animal. Now, the point is, if you have a clear intent, you do not want to spurge the money which is designated for a scheme into your own personal advertisement, then what is the harm in having a verification? That is one. You have so many members of the Aam Aadmi Party, especially like this Maliwal person who heads the Women Commission. She comes up with so many things. She goes to the other states where she does not have a jurisdiction and she starts raiding. Now, if she can do that, then a national body which is designated for taking care of the child, emotional, physical, mental, spiritual health, and making sure that they do not carry stains of any kind of abuse. If they have recommended something, What is the harm? I ask everyone today, what is the harm in fulfilling it? The children whom we are talking about may be vulnerable at various levels. And there's an old saying, especially in Punjabi and Hindi and everywhere, that बच्चे सांझे होते हैं, बच्चे सबके होते हैं. So whether it is my kid, your kid, or anybody else's, what is so wrong in protecting them? And if there's a start, let's say there's nowhere else that there's such kind of scrutiny. If there is a scrutiny, I say, and you are making a foolproof system to make sure that there are minimalistic chances of any kind of abuse, then you should be very happy because you have got a perfect system of deliverance. You should be more happy to fulfill it. But if you're not happy to fulfill it, means that there is something lacking.
Okay. All right. Let me bring in Deepa Kumar, who's with us as well. Deepa Kumar, you know, as a completely independent observer into this entire scheme, into the objections that have been raised by NCPCR and what the Aam Aadmi Party is saying, what is your own perspective on the Desh Ke Mentor scheme?
Good evening, everybody. I think what I wouldn't say Aam Aadmi Party, I would say the ruling party, which is in Delhi. I think what they're doing for children is beautiful. As an educator, I feel कि our children need support. बच्चों को आजकल बहुत support चाहिए. And I'm sure a responsible party like Aam Aadmi Party will take care of all these nuances before. They must have, their leaders must have thought it through. It's not something that we are asking children to speak to just anyone. I'm sure all these 40, 50,000 mentors have a background. We can't just like we all are talking, we all are discussing. I'm sure you know about our backgrounds. Similarly, I would say that NCPCR, if they're feeling that there may be a chance of abuse, then both the community can get together to find a solution for this. But I don't see any fear in here because they have the data, they have scrutinized everybody, they had asked people to come forward. I'm sure, I'm more than sure that they have interviewed people in their own manner. They have put the data together to ensure that no wrong person is talking to the children. And children at this time do need support. So I don't think it's in the right spirit that we should let this program go away. I think this is a beautiful, though I'm not a part of that program, nor am I favoring anybody or saying that this party is wrong or this party is right. I think both of them are the NCPCR. If they have a question, they can always go back to Aam Aadmi Party instead of making it such a big issue. I know emotional being of a child is the most important thing for any school, for any educator, for any community. But at the same time, if somebody is trying to do something good, changing the lives of children, especially those who are not so lucky, who do not get mentors, who don't know where to go, who don't know how to think about themselves. I don't see any wrong in their doing. However, NCPCR can always have a dialogue with them, resolve it, but not stop the program, because I think it's a very good thought. And somebody who's thought about it, I must congratulate that person. You know, I'm giving a very open, for me, I'm an educationist. I don't belong to any party. I only belong to children and this nation. As simple as that, you know. Yeah. Hello.
Yes, absolutely, Deepa Kumar. Raman Malik, you know, the one point, I don't know if you heard what Atishi had to say, but one point that she mentioned is that, you know, they are being asked to do police verification for every person who has a conversation with the child. And her point was that in all the government schools across the country, that extent of police verification is probably not being done. So why are they being singled out? And obviously questioning the timing of all of this, and with the elections coming up, that whole aspect as well. Your response.
See, elections would always be there until and unless this nation has one nation, one poll. Elections are always going to be there every year, somewhere or the other. So, would we stop everything on those bases? No. That is number one. Number two, uh, you see, the school teachers and all in the government school and the people appointed, they are all employees of the government or they are contractual or other things. But the basic fact is the nation today has a policy across the states that when you hire somebody as a house help, you have to get it police verified. Isn't that a fact? That is one. I'll give you two, three examples. Number one, somebody of an eminence like Michael Jackson, there was a famous, there was cases against him on the same child abuse. Was it something that was expected out of him? No. Secondly, the most important thing is they have all that I understand that they have said is with proper checks and balances, you continue the thing. There is no stopping if those checks and balances are there. Third most important thing. When we, in our Indian culture, when we are getting our children married, we generally, the families, scrutinize each other as much as they can and humanly possible. Problems still happen. There are domestic violence, domestic abuses cases, men and women both. How can that happen even after the very fact that those are personally scrutinized to the maximum? So the point is that if there is a certain norm to negate possible abuse, there should be no harm. And last point I would say, I am a father. I have a 10-year-old daughter. I have an 8-year-old son. Now, my concern as a parent when I start looking at it would be,
right,
A, that if the scrutiny has been done by competent authorities, I'll be much more secure. B, I'll be at ease even if my child is with his or her mentor for a longest duration of time, subject to obviously the mentor spending that much of time and if the need is. The proper hand holding without fear can actually happen. In a school where you have a teacher who's been appointed by due process and is on roll and every bit of information, Atishi and Manish Sisodia are saying that schools may be to end, but schools may, you have the basic point that when a teacher or a staff is enrolled as an employee of the state, they are properly scrutinized, all their credentials are there, they can be traced. Now, how would you do it that somebody becomes a mentor? It is subject to Aam Aadmi Party's internal, assessment. And one, you had your own people who were your founding members whom you have thrown out, stating that they are not fit now. Now, I want to understand, you either need to have credentials which prove otherwise, or you should be bona fide in your approach. You have questioned your own mentors of the party. Leave beside anything else.
Right. Fair enough, Raman Malik. All right, we'll have to leave it there. Thank you so much, Deepa Kumar and Raman Malik, for joining us with your perspective. On that note, we're going to slip into a very quick break. On the other side, we'll tell you about the Kerala rape case verdict, which is out. Franco Mulakkal has been acquitted by the Sessions Court.